Hey, welcome back, folks. This is Babbaginator, and we are in the Long Dark doing a new challenge called Cave Dweller, where we can visit indoor spaces but have to sleep outdoors in caves. Anything not a structure. So, hey, good to see you, Kibbles. Welcome in. Give you a shout out, I guess. First in. And here we go. Okay, so our plan is to find food because we are really low on food. Like, I think we have no food. We don't have a pan or a pot, so we can't make any useful things. So we are stuck with this. We actually could cook the whatchamacallit, the oats, but yeah. Really? Like, what kind of weirdness did you find? Okay. Okay, how are we doing for torches? This we can drop. Okay, get some food going here.
Stomach feels like an empty pit.
Cooking too it is. Okay, a little bit more visibility. Hinterland's fighting Steam DRM because it's too slow. Yeah, doesn't surprise me. Every tree is an object causes the game to sometimes freeze loading screens. 3, weather uses a job system is so complicated that mod makers are scared to touch it. Interesting. Or some pre-alpha textures and items are still inside the game. Yeah, I've heard that. Like, the shovel is still kind of in the game. It's in the code. Can't get it, but there's a shovel. And a few other things like that, right? Oh, the shovel's gone. They took the shovel out. Whoa. Hey, welcome in, Rootbeard. Good to see you. We're going on a little trip right now. We're going to try to find some food since with the DLC releases, they finally got rid of the shovel. Goodbye, shovel. The game's not nearing 40 years old. It's not that old.
Damn it.
And actually telling me
So
it's going to have a
annoying.
middle-age crisis, right? It's 45 years old and it wants a new girlfriend. And it just bought a brand new game engine. Yeah. Yeah, it's hooked up with a game engine that's half its age. What's that look like? Is that what you're saying? Middle age now? Yeah, I mean, I'm still having a blast. I've considered adding mods, but for the most part, I'm happy as is. I haven't reached, like, the Skyrim point. Like, there's a Skyrim tipping point for me where suddenly I decide I had to mod everything. I'm not there yet. Oh, that was lame. Literally lame. Look at me. Lame. I lamed myself. Unnecessary laming. If you add more than 50 mods, that doesn't surprise me. I would see this as a game where you probably just want to add like 5 or 6 mods. That'd be all that you have active at a time. $140? Wow. That's impressive. I just realized I need to grab my water. Where's my water at? I forgot to refill my water. We'll have to do that later. There's some water in here. But I don't have the ice cubes. Yeah. Well, I think that they will continue to support the game, but they're really focused, at least I think the company wants to pivot and start working on the next game, or they've already started working on the next game. I think they realize that this is like a really big deal. This game is, so I'm certain they'll keep maintaining it, but I'm not certain how much big stuff we should expect, you know. You want the bug fixes. Yeah, I think that's what we can count on is bug fixes and quality of life stuff repaired, you know. Interesting. Yeah, I haven't followed the specifics as what they were doing under the hood, so that's interesting to hear. Four games in tandem. Wow, I didn't realize it was 4 games. I thought they had one big game. Yeah. Yeah, I know when I used to work at a game studio as a programmer, it was... We usually had... I think we were a smaller studio and we usually had 3 projects going at a time. How often did I get to work on what I actually wanted to work on? I worked for a company that did educational software and children's entertainment games. So that meant that a lot of times we, like at least at the beginning, it was mostly what we affectionately called drill and kill games. Lot of like repetition, memorization through brute force, you know, and so you know different activities in games, but at the end of the day, I think pedagogy, in terms of the teaching approach, I now recognize a lot of it is a little more suspect, and it was like, I don't know if that was the best way we could have been teaching kids. Some of the activities, some of the games were fun to work on. Others, finally,
Well, this stuff will come in handy.
feels so much better after losing our other pry bar. It hurt when we had 24% pry bar and that was all we had. So, but I mean, like some of the one of the things that happened was we had like this downtime between projects, which almost never happened, but it happened, and so I started experimenting. I was like thinking about like, you know, a particular feature of the game engine we used, and I thought, you know, I wonder if we could write these use the external files to create, well, effectively what I wanted to do was at first I wanted to just provide some external scripting, since frequently what would happen is we would have to send everything back to testing if we touched the code. If we recompiled the code, we'd have to send it back to testing, and usually it was something really insignificant. We just made some minor adjustment to like how something displayed. And I thought, well, why don't we just figure out a way to do all the placement stuff externally? And so I started working on what effectively became a very simplified scripting language. And then talking to my colleague, we realized we could actually turn that into a level editor. And so we wrote like, between the two of us, we wrote like a level editor. And then they came back to us and said, hey, that's kind of a cool project you guys have got going on. Would you like to actually do we have some games we want to work on that would benefit from having this type of level design, you know, external level design. So we ended up working on Pirate Raiders for Fisher-Price, Imaginext, and then later Knights and Castles. Which basically, underneath the art, were effectively the same game. And so, yeah, so no bit of innovation goes unpunished. I ended up being the lead programmer on 2 overlapping projects. So they had me lead on the first one on Pirate Raiders, and then as we were almost done with that, we're 2/3 done, and they said, okay, let's do Knights and Castles as well. So why don't you work at both of them at the same time? Yeah. You would love to show what the TLD code looks like, but it's a mess. Yeah. So I've heard. I mean, it doesn't surprise me. It's, we had one guy who was always meticulous about his design. You know, he really favored sort of very structured, object-oriented programming. And he would take all the time to carefully construct everything out. And then, invariably, infallibly, it always would happen. Manager would show up and say, you know what? We've decided we'd like to do something completely different. It's a small change, but could you do it like this instead? And of course, what that translated to was that he actually had to bypass most of what he had already structured. And basically undermined, the design and to make it fit within, the time frame that we had available. It was just terrible. Worst spaghetti code I've ever seen, and least documented, was the Incredible Machine code. And I don't know if you ever played the Incredible Machine, but it was a game, kind of a Rube Goldberg machine game, that was popular, I guess, in the 90s, early 2000s. I'd say like 90s, maybe. Late 90s, early 2000s. And it was produced by Sierra. And Sierra had been bought out by the same company that bought us. And so we were all lumped together, and we had access to the Sierra code base. And our company, doing educational software, decided that they wanted to have a game where one of the activities was basically Incredible Machine. So they get us access to the code. And it's clearly written for like a completely different age of game, era of game, in the sense that it was all written in C. It was all written with next to no commentary, so there were no comments in the code. Variable names were incredibly cryptic, sometimes even a single letter. And, so... And it was, procedural, not object-oriented, which made it also harder to figure out what was going on at times. So it was interesting. It was fast, but it was no longer necessary with the modern advances to computers to heavily optimize quite like they did. So anyways, we ended up having to rebuild the code to suit sort of modern programming conventions and redocument it so we actually knew what was going on. So it was kind of interesting. That was my colleagues that had that task. I was working on something else at the time, but it was interesting to see them tackle that problem. Okay. We're going to check for food here, then we're going to have to race down the river, hopefully not run into a bear, and then where do we go? I don't know. Have to find another place to stay. Or do we stay up here tonight? Maybe we go into Ravine, sleep overnight in Ravine, come back out. That might be easier. Come on, give me some extra food. No food hiding back there. Okay. So I think we're going into Ravine overnight and then come back out to deal with the Bear Creek. This sleep outside thing is a bit of a hassle, I will admit. Oh, look at all this burdock. More food. Thanks for the hydrate. Cheers, Roar. Good to see. We got the hammer and the coal. We just need to get enough food supplies to justify going back to forge. But, like, the have to sleep in cave thing puts a real damper on movement. You gotta plan really carefully, otherwise you end up stranded places. Yep, that was disappointing. More feathers. So our biggest problem is I don't think we're going to have enough feathers to really craft many arrows as we need. Yeah, I think we have to go to Ravine. This snow is going to turn into a blizzard. We need to find shelter before then. I wonder if one of our first things we build should be a travois. Just to make our life easier. Or do we focus on getting better clothes? We do have the Mackinac this run, so that's a good start. The game doesn't even know what a wheel is. Do you think that's... I get the feeling that that's a deliberate thing to keep modding within some measurable range, right? So that people aren't introducing too many crazy things to the game. Oh, and to optimize the game. Yeah, and I think just dropping a whole bunch of stuff out that's not in use. Yeah. There's already car mod. Like you could get the car started and move it around in Aurora. That feels really silly, but I mean, even a plane. That's wild. I can't imagine flying around. It's just too much. Next, they'll have a teleporter. You know, teleport pad, or maybe it's a Stargate. You know. Hey, the goal is to sleep somewhere, and right now it looks like Ravine's our closest place to bed down. So. Co-op mod. Oh boy. That's just wild. It's just totally wild. I mean, I guess for some people that's what they want, is they want to have a multiplayer experience with their friends, but it just seems weird to me because I play this game so I don't have to deal with people, right? One of my favorite things about this game. Who's the misanthrope? Me! I'm the misanthrope. That's what it is. Okay. Gotta get some new torches going here.
Come on, little fire.
Well, tomorrow morning I have a Zoom meeting that hopefully translates into a job that I really hope will start in summer. That would be ideal. I'd be working for the university, so... What I got is the worst torches in the world here. I think my youngest nephew was telling me that someone made a Roblox, I think it's Roblox TLD. So like they made a whole TLD Great Bear in Roblox. Wild. Don't fall down, Astrid. There we go. We're going to focus on crossing the bridge here, and then we'll get back to reading chat. Don't want to just distract myself into taking the deep dive. Storms are coming. The long development mod, the food mods, alcohol mod. Alcohol's a terrible idea in the long dark, you know? It messes up with your sense of, your awareness of how cold you really are. Yep. More likely to die. Long development adds regions to the game. Whole regions? Wow, that's pretty impressive. Okay, I kind of want to be able to try that out at some point. Maybe I'll watch some YouTube videos where people kind of explore using the mods and then make a decision about whether or not I'm doing that. But for now, I got plenty. Just trying to master the regions that I don't know already. Adding more regions seems, well, I don't know, greedy. Oh, some are really outdated? Okay. Well, I'll try to look for, like, the more recent, you know, takes on those mods, but... Do they add new creatures? Did they add the cougar? Did they add, what else would mess with us? Lynx? You know, a wildcat would be pretty bad. Wolverine, I think. I'd be terrified if they added a Wolverine. Do not want to mess with the Wolverine. But yeah, I've seen people play with that mod, and I have to say the Fox Companion is kind of cute. Woolly mammoth. Also terrifying option. So let's see, what's still yet to be added in? Is the last chapter in the next DLC or whatever it is, the next release update is supposed to have, I think it's supposed to add the cougar and it's supposed to add the trader. Yeah. Yeah, creating like realistic predator and just overall animal AI is not easy. Camera. Oh, animal revamp. So yeah, so they're probably tinkering with the AI. You're right. That can't be an easy job. Get that working. Okay. I think we might have to hunt some rabbits. The DIY by Santana, no. I have heard about the mods that allow you to place anything anywhere. Those always are kind of cool mods to have access to. Okay, there should be food here. Almost always.
Come on, little fire. Perfect. Ah.
Okay, let's get some water going here. Okay. We're at 27, so it's 9 arrows. That's not bad. Regions aren't making you teleport to them. The whole region is built around the player. Interesting. In turn, every region, house, cave has 0, 0 coordinate. Oh, interesting. I am hoping this is going to be warm enough. Do we play it safe? Do we save a match? So let's see, we need a few more torches here. Let's look at these. These are pretty bad. I want to pull at least 3 or 4. Yep, here comes the wind. One, two, three, 4. And that's how the interdimensional trailer was born. 2 entrances. Huh. Oh, we want to switch over to our new gloves.
This pack is getting too heavy to carry. I could eat anything right now.
Oh, interesting.
God, I could eat a horse.
Too gusty. Don't want to leave yet.
I'm not going to be able to carry this load for much longer. I never thought I'd be dying from starvation. walk with this much gear.
Okay, let's head over. Head back over. You love the modding scene? TLD. Really smart people willing to take up the fight with Hinterland's powers. Yeah. Yeah, as long as you don't get superpowers or magic. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Here we go. Okay, almost over the bridge. Hey, welcome in, Smoky Rosas. Welcome into the channel. I'm Babbage Nader. I stream The Long Dark, which I'm doing right now. Based out of Vancouver, BC at the moment. And former computer games programmer, writer, mostly poetry, also opera libretto, and currently back in school doing a master's in library and information science to become a professional Probably academic librarian. Yep. So we're doing a challenge, which is kind of Outerloper Lite, if you're familiar with that. It's basically Interloper. We're allowed to visit the inside of buildings and structures and mines. We're just not allowed to sleep in any indoor structure with the exception of mines. So we can sleep in caves, mines, anything outdoors, but we can't sleep indoors. So the first 24 hours we're given one break. We're allowed to sleep for one period of time in the first 24 hours indoors. That's because if you don't, you really, if you haven't found the matches in bedroll by then, you're basically going to be doomed. So we had to provide some relief in the first 24 hours. But after that, you can never sleep indoors, with the exception of mines. Oh, the long run finished. We beat our challenge. We finished roll with it. We got 303 days. We finished our 13 days in Blackrock without dying, which is personal record. I basically always die in Blackrock. So yeah, we definitely kicked that. It's still alive. We may like once a week drop back in on that file and take it closer to 500 days, but yeah, that run's going great. Other than the fact that we're in Blackrock. We want to get out of Blackrock. We're at the prison. Yeah, so that definitely took me 30 attempts at that challenge to beat it. Can you believe that? 30 attempts. We're on number 4, I think, for this one. This is Cave Dweller 4. We've had 4 previous attempts. First 3 ended really badly because we didn't give ourselves the option to sleep indoors in the first 24 hours, and we just died. We just couldn't figure out how to make that work. Partly it was the places we spawned were really terrible for doing that. Places or times, so... Yeah, I mean, that's generally how it works, right? The Blackrock is best seen through the rear view mirror. Yeah. Okay, we've got our hammer. We have a brand new pry bar. We have a hacksaw. We have a bunch of coal. We need a little bit more cloth. Need to remember to take some cloth from this cabin up here. You got lost? Yeah, it's easy to do. Really easy to do. Which start was that one where it was so bad? Oh, it was this one. It was this one. We started off in Desolation Point, and I couldn't figure out where I was. And it turned out we were in to that little pocket by the exit. And I had left the area next to the mine entrance and was just wandering around in that bowl. I was like, well, this doesn't look like anything I know. It was just big blizzard. Couldn't tell a thing. Like, ooh, this is nothing like anything I know. And then finally I saw something. I was like, oh, I recognize that. I know where we are. Yeah, it was kind of terrible. I think the bear is out. Let's go up to the cabin here first. See if I'm mistaken, but I think the bear is in the picnic area. Yogi's in the picnic area. Okay.
I'll take it.
Ooh, score! Warm jacket. Thin wool jacket when... See if we can tear this down before it goes out. Work your magic, Prybar. Okay, how are we doing matches-wise? Still at 11 matches, and... use a little bit more torches. Pieces of cloth. Respectable. Hey, Mustafa! Good to see you. Yeah, thanks. We're overdue.
Come on, little fire. Come on.
Forgot to put a good old shout out for Smokey here in a second. Guess we're using coal. Okay. Forgot to do shout outs for Smokey. And
V-Relay's great. If you didn't know, I met her when I was doing a fire, a Morrowind.
I sorted. I'm trying to understand how to get my lumberjacks to get wood.
Oh, prof.
Do you guys know why beavers make houses in the woods? For rest. I'm gonna die.
Yeah, you are. Okay. So yeah, Prof, I am having a meeting tomorrow about a possible work opportunity with the Digital Humanities Initiative at my university at UBC, where they're going to hire me. I think, you know, they listed the meeting as onboarding, so I think that means they've already decided they want to hire me. You know, to be a graduate assistant or a graduate academic assistant, which basically means it's a non-teaching role, but it's support for other digital humanities projects on campus. So, yeah, digital humanities is all the rage right now. So, okay, let us get out our little pinky flare. See if we can grab some more. Do I see any sign of the bears stomping around? Yeah, so that's the pay is much better than the current writing consulting job I have with the university, which is bottom of the wage ladder, and the graduate academic assistants make basically the top of the wage ladder for student rates. So that would definitely be helpful. Yeah. So, Prof, are you still teaching right now? Did you get pulled into industry or consulting work now, or what's the latest? But you're taking on projects? Yeah, I put gaming down as one of my... I put digital storytelling, games, digital humanities as principal areas of like focus for me as a librarian. But in terms of critical research, I'm still very much like poetry, creative writing, pedagogy, obviously Victorian technology, especially with automaton and artificial intelligence. Cultural history of artificial intelligence, as I call it. We got another games-related class you might add in another department. That's tricky. It's tricky. Hey, come up to Vancouver. Yeah, it's only super expensive here. That's the only problem. Oh, I'm going to Digital Humanities Summer Institute at University of Victoria this summer for 2 weeks. I got a scholarship to cover 2 weeks, or to subsidize 2 weeks there. So in June, I've got 2 weeks in Victoria. And because of that, it means I'm taking 2 weeks to pursue studies elsewhere. I'm going to basically not do my first... We have like a crazy thing at UBC where you can do 2 summer terms, like a May, June, and a July, August. And they're like 6 weeks long. They're super compressed. Anyways, taking 2 weeks off to go to UVic for the Summer Institute, I think means I don't get to do my May-June term. But I was having a hard time getting into any of the classes due to a shortage of teaching staff. So it's like, they're just not offering enough courses for me. But the second term, the plan is to do, I'm still on the wait list, but it's expected I should be able to get into the Intro to Python class, which hopefully will be a fairly simple and fun class for me. I've learned all sorts of programming languages before. I've just never formally taken Python, so I figured, well, I might as well do it just to fill my credit hours and to actually get some hands-on experience. The real question is the bear... That's the bear cave. Okay. Yeah. So we don't see the bear. We're probably not going to run into him. Could be wrong. Yeah, everyone's talking Python, and for a lot of stuff, like I'm doing a electronic document design class, or a digital documents design class, which is basically like presentation / slide docs, plus intro to HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, all which I can do really comfortably. I've just never had the formal design class component. So the design elements and the principles, guidelines, those sort of thoughts, never really had. So that's why I'm taking the class. And then the other class is a database design class, intro to database design. And again, never taken a formal database class, even though I did a undergraduate in computer science. It was all application development, you know, optimizations, artificial intelligence, file systems, you know. So like I studied all this other stuff, just never formally took a database class. So I figure like I gotta pay my dues and learn those things because, well, libraries and archives revolve around management of information, so you gotta know this stuff. Yeah, it turns out that I don't really love the design part of it. I'm okay with it. At the closer it gets to code, the happier I am. The further it is away from code, the more my brain just kind of wants to do something else. You have a database allergy? You'd rather be databased? Yeah. But I figured the next thing I'm going to do is for my last project that I'm doing for my digital docs class. We have to do the final project. You work on a web page and employ the design elements while also integrating in, like you previously had worked on a page with HTML and CSS. Now we're like adding in JavaScript interactivity. But since I know how to do most of that stuff already, the professor just said, like, stretch yourself. Do something that you don't know how to do. So I'm going to work on integrating, like basically moving a lot of the data from the page into XML files, and then accessing the XML DOM and interacting with that to do things. So because guess what? Once again, a lot of library software revolves around XML formats. So gotta learn how to do that stuff. And the database design class, our last project is, so our group project has basically been we had to come up with a real world or fictional but inspired by real world organization or business that would benefit from having a database, like a shift to using a database to work with things. Oops. And we'll skip the book. And so, whereas other people chose like things that probably were more pragmatic, more ambitious passion projects, I convinced my group that we should make an RPG shop that specializes in selling RPG dice bags, and dice towers, and dice trays. Because, as it turns out, it is much simpler to have a very tightly formed concept where all the entities and relations are pretty simple, I'll say, than to choose like complicated things that involve genre. So like one group's dealing with like they're trying to create a database that tracks videos and films that used to be in a historic collection called Videomatica, which used to be a independent video store in Vancouver that managed a very large collection of independent film and art films that had very limited distributions. We'll be safe. And then they closed, and their collections were divided up across multiple libraries and archives. And so there's no way to search for the historic collection in one place. You'd have to go to each of the institutions and try to track down the information that way, and not necessarily recorded in the library. Sort of the records for the media objects in the library. So they decided to do this. Well, of course, what happens is you end up with like, oh, it's a video or a film, right? So now you're tracking actors, directors, languages, publishers. You're tracking genres and subgenres. It gets really messy really quickly. And so, yeah. And then others were dealing with like real world situations, managing communications for like a gymnastics organization that needs to interface with parents and children and the instructors. And there's lots of complicated things that grow out of that one. Oh, really? Very cool. Yeah. Okay, we want to get past this section. Past any bear encounter, and then we're going to hit to the road. Make our way to Log Sort, and then to the Aurora Mine. Yeah, so anyways, we did our presentation today on the revamped ERD, Entity Relation Diagram, and we normalized our database, and it was very easy to normalize the design since we only had one thing that had to be addressed. We had very little complications. Mostly it was just ensuring that we were consistent with our naming conventions for different attributes. So I think, like, now that we've done the presentation part, it should be pretty smooth sailing in terms of the implementation. My goal is this weekend to buckle down and implement part of the database into our SQL server and test it out each part until we're ready to roll out the whole thing. But I would love to have the whole thing wrapped up like 2 or 3 weeks early. Yeah, archiving video games is tough. You know, there's that whole thing that happened with a lot of the Sierra games. LucasArts, actually. LucasArts games, there were a lot of their games were not well archived. And so when they tried to do a re-release, it required them reaching out to the fan base. Asking, they said, like, no questions. We will have no questions. We just need your assistance. We know that there's a possibility that some of you may have acquired, you know, files and materials that normally would have been gone by now. And so they were trying to re-release Grim Fandango, and there was a lot of code that they really didn't have access to anymore. So they relied on, you know, people in the fan base that had acquired through questionable means, you know, the code. So, and some of the assets as well. And so, yeah, so they basically were able to rebuild the game with the assistance of people, you know, but otherwise, yeah, the chance of them being able to do that would have been basically nil. So. But the same thing is true for, like, video archives for, the first season of Doctor Who, right? If you go back into the very, 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 very beginning of Doctor Who, a lot of those episodes aren't recorded anywhere. They're just lost, you know. But yeah, I imagine video game archiving is particularly challenging because of engines. You know, you need to have you have to archive the engine as well. Some means to view the code, some means to access the assets depending on how they were packed. Yeah. How heavy are we? 45. Okay. So yeah, last stream, Prof, we got into the Aurora Mine in Aurora. So we actually got to go to the middle level that we never visit. So I finally got to visit the middle level. And we didn't get stuck. It was good. And we didn't kill ourselves with electricity. I think we had a couple minor buzzes, but okay. We were okay. Yeah, you need a lot of food. It's, but, I mean, it's pretty cool that they have, they've got, fire barrels down there, so you can... Okay, go away, buddy.
It's getting dark out here. Time to look for shelter.
Okay, we got our cattails, we got our hammer, we got our hacksaw, we got our pry bar, we got coal, we have almost made it to our shelter for the night. The next step is to go back into Crumbling Highway and then from there make it over to Desolation Point and forge. So I think we'll forge next time. I think we'll concentrate on getting to Crumbling Highway tonight. Maybe we'll make it all the way into Desolation Point. We'll see. Really depends on how early of a start we can get, you know, out of here. Okay, let's see, what do we need? We need more water and more torches, so let's do that. Need an animated laser for what? For the cougar? Imagine if you could defeat the cougar with the, using the flashlight. That'd be pretty funny. So in Aurora, when you run into the cougar, just shine your flashlight around, get it all spinny, make the cougar confused, chase around a spotlight in the dark. Okay. We just need enough cattails to make it through an entire forge. And enough coal that we can sleep on the deck afterwards. Oops, we drank the wrong thing. Okay. So yeah, because I'm doing Summer Institute, Digital Humanities Summer Institute in June, it means I'm not taking classes May, June, which means I will either work extra or I will have more time to work on other projects. Like I could spend, I'm hoping, more time finishing up the interactive fiction game, so Into the Dark Woods might actually get a lot more progress this summer. And what else might get some more work? Some creative writing projects that I've been seeing on the side, I might be able to focus on. Yeah. And hopefully I'll just get some more work hours in working on different projects. And getting paid. That would be nice. And then the second half, I just have the one class, and hopefully I'll still have work. Okay, so let's repair that. Fail.
Wheat trees.
That doesn't sound good. Really would like travel with a torch. Just don't really have a lot of other places that we can go. We're at 12 right now. Ugh, failed. We just go? Hmm. Of course. As soon as we step out, it goes down. We'll take this. Okay, we gotta make it to our next stop here. We've got everything we need. Oh, how are we doing for cloth? Okay, we have enough cloth to forge the things we need to forge. How many months do you think I have to spend? Ugh. I'm always optimistic, but the reality is I know there's still a ton of work to be done, plus playtesting to go through. There's still a lot of unresolved threads. There's also a lot of functionality I want to add in. I mean, some things are just ridiculous. I want to add in... So, like, one of the ridiculous things that's in there right now is... There's a place where eventually you can access a UFO. You find a flying saucer at some point. And the flying saucer has a console, and you can actually enter in console commands. So then I wrote a rudimentary scripting language, or basically a parser. It'll parse, like, commands. and I want that to actually have impact in the game. And I thought about introducing a portable console device so that people could then enter in commands in different scenes. So that's the type of like ridiculously over-the-top functionality creep that happens in because one should never write a game, especially an interactive fiction game, as a pantser, as they call it in NaNoWriMo. Just writing by the seat of your pants, just make it up as you go along, because this is what will happen, is you'll just keep, the feature creep will just keep happening. You'll keep inventing new threads, new ideas, new functionalities, and not rein yourself in. So, like, the proper game design approach would have been to start off with, like, okay, what is the scale and scope of this thing? What's realistic? What is the limited palette of game mechanics we want to work with, and stick with that, right? But no, this was a passion project, and I had to go wild and weird and go crazy, which is part of the fun of it. It is a completely unruly design. Will I do another one like this? Probably no. Nothing quite this weird and over the top. I will probably have learned my lesson for the next project and begin with a much more thorough plan so that I can tackle all the mechanics and functionality in a reasonable way, and then have a project plan that actually works. But this one is really just out there. Yes, the forest is full of rabbit holes. It is also home to a 6-foot or taller gigantic rabbit that is a monster in there. Yeah. So yes, there is a carnivorous, ultra-violent Harvey wannabe in there. I had toyed with, and I eventually realized it was just too much extra work to include. I had considered whether or not I wanted to make the scene descriptions reflective of the direction that you entered the scene from. So if you entered in from the west, then all that is described to you is from the vantage point of you coming from the west. So you would see directly across from you east, and then sort of the north-south. But if you came in from the south, you would see a different arrangement. Right? And I thought about it, and I thought, oh, this would be kind of cool. And then the more I thought about it, the more I realized how much of a pain it really would be to implement. How complicated it would make everything. And I was like, no, I need to revisit this idea. And I need to go back to some of the scene descriptions that make assumptions about how you enter the scene. If you now are able to... If you can enter it from more than one direction, then I need to accommodate, a different scene direction. Well, I need to make certain the direction, how can I say, the exits are not described relative to you and your entry point, but instead described in absolute, cardinalities. So, which puts it, it's a little, immersion breaking. It's like, how do you automatically know, north, south, east, west, but... Yeah, I mean, in an effort to try to rein myself in, there was a point where I went and a number of points where I went and I mapped out the entire game in terms of its locations and what I wanted the decision trees at the locations, so that I'd have a better sense of what I had left undone. But it didn't really address sort of the other problems of any mechanics or functionalities I was introducing that were not just choice-based, but actually could, the moment you introduce, like, something that can take, inputted commands as opposed to just being a choice-based narrative, You know, instead of just branching on choices, if you now can actually interact with the world through a parser, you know, a console that parses, you know, command line parser, that's a very different experience. So I had to think about what's doable, what's not doable, and whether or not it should be portable. So, oh, there's the bear out there. We should be able to get out of here. So, and then sometimes I make like long lists of like to-do lists of things to actually implement and try to get on top of that. But yeah, so this summer, May, June, that's one of my projects, is try to finish that, to focus my energies on actually finishing that game to the point that I can actually share it out there in the world. Other things I want to work on as soon as I wrap up my classes, I would like to... I've been thinking about doing some more... I've debated whether I want to go back to making YouTube content again. Right now, the only YouTube content that is active is the fact that I now dual stream. This is like stream both to Twitch and to YouTube, so it's all automatically backed up and archived. But I haven't been making any new Hermit Poetry series videos, and I haven't been making any fantastic description, like narrative, improvisational narrative description videos, you know, for a while. And I've thought about returning to that, but I've also thought about whether I want to instead make some... Like, one of the problems I see with the long-form video is that it's a real challenge for a lot of people to stick with the longer videos. And when I was making them, I was still fairly new to video editing. I'm not like an expert now, but I've learned a few things, and I would definitely cut them together differently. So I haven't decided if I want to go back and do, like, re-edit everything into better formats, or if I want to start over again, make new content, or if I want to just do print content, you know, make little guides on how to describe different things, and why you would describe them that way. So. Hey, welcome in, Vanderwagon. Good to see you. We are, as you can see, in the middle of a new challenge. This one is called Cave Dweller. And other than the first 24 hours, you're allowed to sleep indoors once. But after that, you may not sleep in any structure. The only exception is you can sleep inside of mines. In transition caves. But mostly you're sleeping outside or in caves. Roll With It ended with success, which is why we are doing a new challenge. Roll With It, we finished day 303 in Blackrock after surviving 13 days there. And we lived all the way up until the end in Blackrock Prison. We made our way into the prison. We dealt with all the troubles there. We never got a bear, but we did kill our wolves, and we even survived a wolf attack, a surprise wolf attack. Yeah, there was a point where we almost lost right at the very end, and we didn't. Thankfully, we pulled back from the brink of destruction. So Roll With It is officially done. It took me 30 tries to beat that challenge, but it is officially done. The only reason why we might do it again, well, there's a couple reasons. One is that was done before scurvy was implemented, so it didn't have the added challenge of having to balance, you know, nutrition. to avoid scurvy. I'm not certain if it would have impacted it that much. I think I was eating a mostly balanced diet, but and then the other thing was there was some mix-up partway through with when I was actually supposed to leave, and I think I may have been giving myself an extra 6 hours unintentionally. But at that point, it was just too late to really fix that. So it was just like, okay, pretty close to being the challenge. Those are pretty cool. Is that the Death Star? That's the Death Star zapping us. Okay. If Cave Dweller takes off and it turns out to be a sufficiently fun challenge to work with, I might be looking for a whatchamacallit, a caveman emoji would be pretty cool. That'd be pretty funny. Also, have you done a cougar or a wildcat emoji yet? Cougar obviously would be good for future planning, right? Future planning with cougars. Okay, we're gonna wrap up here as soon as we get over to the mine. Looks like we'll probably spend the night there. But I think we'll leave some coal behind here too. Well, actually, are we ever going to sleep in this cave? No, we're not. Oh, we'd only sleep in this cave if we got cabin fever, so. But cabin fever is going to be a rarity, I think, in this run. Oh, shall we... Oh, I think we already ate that deer. What do we have left? We eat this deer? I think we ate this deer already. Just want to check and see. Yeah, we ate this deer already. Where are you, buddy? Okay. I see you. Go away. Can't fit through there.
I can't feel my hands.
You're fine, Astrid. Totally fine. We're just low on food again. We just have our cattails.
I can't feel my feet.
Alright, it is. Guess we could grab everything, and we got two choices. We can either sleep on this side, or we can grab everything and sleep on the other side. I'm thinking we grab everything and sleep on the other side. Of course, we could always try to... Nah. Nice try, buddy. We're having none of that.
Come on, little fire. Come on.
Go away, buddy.
I've never
No, we
felt
go.
so cold in my life.
Could steal rabbits. We could steal a rabbit. It's not much food, but it is some food. Give us a rabbit hide. Where is he at? Close enough? Yeah, we're gonna have a wind going here. We'll lose our torch in a second. Not worth it. Hey! Let's head out. There, everything's cured here. Waited long enough. With our big supply of stuff. Not even Will Mackenzie can get a drink, yeah. Yeah, there's been no tavern, right? Still no tavern. There's like a number of like different locations I would expect probably to exist. Like, where's the curling rink? Or the hockey rink? What's up with that? They don't have one of those. What kind of Canadian town is this? Yeah, I don't think they have a Tim Hortons here, though. But I mean, I'd expect like at least one hole-in-the-wall restaurant. No mystery striker hiding here. Yeah, corner gas. Like the one from Saskatchewan? Yeah, good. Frozen. All this extra coal. Yeah, once we get foraged, we can go on a hunting spree. We can get a bear? Get wolves? If we kill a bear, we'll have plenty of food. If the moose is up, we'll have a chance at the moose. Oof, we're so heavy now. We're really close to the exit now. I think we already dumped a bunch of coal in here too, right? 18. How much extra do we have? 41. Gonna make some, boil some water out here. Oh.
Come on, little fire.
We still don't have a pot. That's annoying. Let's see where we're at. We're starting, still ways to go before we get to 3. Cooking's at 2. Let's drop this and then use this one to refuel. It's already full. Okay. Still need more. Oh, I just remembered we have something else to work with. That's right, we got these guys. Okay. That's 11. Oh. 13. One, two, 3, 4, 5, Okay, that's enough.
Ah, I'm starving.
Okay, we're getting ready to go to bed ourselves. Okay, let's just rest a couple hours here. Good enough. Leave the mine.
Man, I could eat anything.
And then we're going to save here. We are on day 12. So look at us. Look at us. We have gathered all this stuff again. We did cattails. We are going to forge. Go forge on the Riken. That's what we're doing next time. Okay, so we're on day 12. Okay, enter save, and we're going to go find someone to raid. So thank you all for hanging out with me tonight. Before we head out, we will read one poem, as is our custom. And so let's see what our one poem is going to be tonight. Poem chooser says, "Forgetting to fill up in Saskatoon." Okay. Nice and short, but this is from my first book of poetry from The Lost Country of Sight, winner of the Philip Levine Prize, published in 2008 by Nhinga Press, and yeah, so this was my first book. Let's see here. Okay, Forgetting to fill up in Saskatoon. We ran on empty for an hour. 3 boys in a borrowed car, miles away from anywhere but these dead farm towns without street lamps or oil. Just burnt out gas stations and the low moans of cattle shifting in the dark. Dry as December, we coasted all the way home, whispering prayers and holding our breath as if to lighten the load, till the faint lines of the city rose at the edge of our view like the far-off fires of a familiar shore, and we pulled ourselves in, weary men, tired of the sea. So that's actually inspired by something that actually happened to me and my friends when I was, I think, 16. My friend Justin had the driver's license. I think the rest of us were in the process of getting our driver's licenses. We were living in Regina, in the capital city, in Saskatchewan, and had to attend a meeting in Saskatoon for, I think it was a church event, something like that. Anyways, we drove, and Justin drove his father's car, and we drove all the way to Saskatoon, which is about 2.5 hours away, and then finished the event, and then we came back, and we left Saskatoon, and we forgot to fill up. Now, it's a 2.5 hour drive. There is exactly one place between where you leave in Saskatoon and where you arrive in Regina. There is one place in the middle called Chamberlain that has gas stations. Nothing else. And so we sailed through Chamberlain without even looking at our gas tank, and the gas meter was like all the way down to empty. And we realized we had about 45 minutes, an hour left when we realized we were on empty. And so it was this panic mode where we, at one point, we even pulled over on the side to like we coasted into like a small, really tiny, like probably even a village, because we thought we saw the outline of a gas station, but turned out it was closed. So yeah, but like the latter half of the trip, there was like a mixture of things where he would put it into neutral and we'd just be coasting in just on momentum. It's like trying to avoid touching the gas, trying to avoid anything that might use what little we had left. And somehow miraculously we rolled into the outskirts of the city an hour later, and yeah, we made it in. But there's nothing so sobering as to realize you have completely misjudged what you needed to have with you to make that trip. And so in a weird way, I feel like forgetting to fill up in Saskatoon is very much the same feeling I have in some long dark runs where I leave the cabin or the safe place, wherever the warmth is. I step out and begin a journey to go someplace important. And halfway through, I realize I don't have enough matches, or I didn't bring enough food, and now we're going to pay a price because we're going to take a lot of damage because we forgot to fill up on something. So yeah, that's the lesson behind that one. So thanks again for hanging out with us. I'm going to get us ready to go raid someone. Pleasure as always. I think if we, let's see. Yeah, I think we got everyone. So let's get the show on the road. Let's see. Who can we go visit? Oh, who is up? Don't recognize anyone really. Oh, not too shabby. Not too shabby is up. Okay, so let's go visit Not Too Shabby. Long time TLD streamer. Actually, I remember the first time we raided. I think I was in a Wands raid, and yeah, we raided Not Too Shabby and didn't notice that we were in there. It was like there's a whole TLD community and he's just hunting a bear. And then afterwards he realized that everyone was in there. He felt really embarrassed, but it's really cool. It's real cool to have all these people here. So we're gonna head out. Thank you all for hanging out with me. I'm gonna hang out in the chat for a little bit afterwards, but I do need to get some sleep. Take care. We'll see you soon.